I forgot to change out my Band-Aid. Oh well. Bright pink Band-Aid on this stream. I was gonna do a skin colored one. Hi. I think. I don't know if I'm actually live or not. I am. Okay, cool. Good morning. Hello. Welcome in. Come on, get situated. I like that we have like the cook emote, but also like I'm not cooking to I can't say that. I am making a single simple syrup. So we are in fact using a stovetop. But by and large, I'm like juicing and mixing most of the things today. Hello. Do I have anybody that's going to make one of these cocktails? Hello. We're like, morning, let's make cocktails.
We don't make mistakes.
A bottle of whiskey. Okay.
Accidents.
Cool. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong. Oh, thanks, Clouds.
We don't make mistakes.
Yes, this is I guess what? It's been 3 months? Something like that. Is it like a Bloody Mary? This will be a Bloody Mary, yes. Well, okay, so I'm gonna I decided that I'm not going to do exactly the recipe. I'm gonna leave the alcohol out. So I'm basically making the mix, and then I'm gonna make 3 different versions. So yeah. It's in the recipe notes, like in the FAQ section on like how to make this like a Bloody Mary bar kind of a thing. So you like make a bunch of the base and then let everybody kind of put whatever alcohol or not alcohol they want in it. So I figured that I would talk a little bit about that, and then we're gonna do a Bloody Mary, we'll do a Bloody Maria, and then we'll do. I thought this was kind of funny when I was doing research on like what the names and stuff were called based on like what alcohol you put into them. If you do a non-alcoholic Bloody Mary or like the Virgin Mary, right? I saw somewhere that they also call it a Bloody Shame, which I thought was really cute. And so yeah, so I'll do that as well.
We don't make mistakes.
I'm not doing Clamato. I know, I'm not doing a Bloody Caesar. That's a Bloody Caesar. I'm not doing a Bloody Caesar. We're doing a Bloody Mary. Okay. Hello. Come on in, everybody. Hey, tu Brute. I know I'm going to go out on a limb and say that whoever's asking for the clam juice, the Clamato, is Canadian. And I do appreciate a good Bloody Caesar. And in fact, I will say that this recipe is kind of like, it's almost what I would consider an in-between of a Bloody Mary and a Bloody Caesar. I don't use Clamato juice, but it is a really, really light Bloody Mary because there's a ton of citrus juice in it. So the Clamato is popular in Texas as well. Neat. Okay. You don't have to skip the clam juice. I mean, I did build this off of V8 or like a tomato juice. So there is going to be a little bit of a difference there, but I'm sure you could do it to taste if you really wanted to. Yeah, I mean, a Bloody Caesar is a popular drink. It's just way more popular in Canada than a Bloody Mary. Like if I went somewhere that had a Bloody Mary on menu, unless they had like a signature Bloody Mary and a whole bunch of different versions, there's a good chance you would just see a Bloody Mary. And it would either be like spicy or not. But like unless you go somewhere that has like a couple different versions, you might not see a Bloody Caesar on a menu. I'm not saying it's not a popular cocktail. I'm just saying US to Canada, very different in popularity. Welcome.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
Lil Lep. I don't even know where he is. We will be turning off alerts and stuff in a little bit. What's going on? You good?
Great. Tired. Not drinking coffee.
Mm.
The left it right.
Oh, cute. Okay. That's cute.
Damn.
Yeah. Cooking stream. Yay. This one shouldn't take longer than 2 hours for the 3 cocktails. I don't expect it to take that long. It's really just like a matter of getting all the ingredients together and then like letting it chill a little bit in the fridge. So I'm planning on kind of making this from start to finish, having it chill in the fridge, moving to the next one that requires some time just because the syrup has to cool, which won't take long, especially if I think I'm going to take some of it out and like set it aside and then put the rest somewhere to cool. And then the last cocktail is like really fast. All the ingredients just need to be added, mixed, shaken, all that. So is Chuck going to drink the profits? Yeah, probably. I assume so. I assume so. You can hear him drooling. No. Weird. Okay. He's Chuck when he's off the clock and Let when he's working. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. Okay. Do I have anybody cooking with me today? Because if you let me know which one you're doing, I'll make sure that I am keeping up with you when I get to that specific cocktail. This is my favorite gin. Leopold Summer Gin. I have a bit of an obsession. I tried some of their other batches. They have I think they have a summer gin, they have an autumn gin, and then they have just their straight, London dry kind of a thing. Ooh, I just touched the mic. And it's got like black lettering instead of the light blue is like the difference in the label. Not as good. It was very peppery. I like the summer gin. It's super citrus forward. It's really nice and clean, and I really like it. It goes really well with mixed cocktails. Very well with mixed cocktails. We've had Roku in the house before. It's like that. It's like a hexagonal bottle or something like that. A non-alcoholic version of what? Of the Bloody Mary? Yes, you can make it a virgin and just not add the alcohol to it if that is what you're looking for. Of the other stuff, not so much, though I can give some non-alcoholic mocktail situation information for this guy behind me, for the floral cocktail. Not sure we could really do much with this one because there's two different kinds of alcohols in it. And one of them is a passion fruit liqueur, which adds a lot of the flavor. So I think if you left that out, you would have a problem. But the floral one, I can talk about a non-alcoholic version. And then this one, I was planning on making a non-alcoholic version in the first place, so. There are alcohol-free versions of a lot of spirits now. I have not gone through and like done any kind of tasting on those other than, I think it was Ritual, and I got their tequila alternative, and it was spicy, which I wasn't expecting. And not like spicy, like this is too hot to drink or like whatever, but it was just like there was like spice in it, and it was like a little bit between like medium and mild. And I didn't really care for it, I'll be very honest. So I stopped. I think I tried one other thing that was like a non-alcoholic, and I just like, it wasn't it. But I have heard good things about the Campari alternatives. So like if you wanted to do like some kind of spritz or something like that, I've heard good things about those, but there's not much else that yeah. Yeah, there are passion fruit puree options, but the chinola it's not the same. It won't be the same balance, is what I'm saying. You could do straight passion fruit and straight pineapple, but it won't do what you want it to do. It won't taste the same as what this one tastes. Like if you're going for something that like kind of tastes similar or at least had the same flavor profiles, the chinola has a really like bitter earthiness to it that passion fruit doesn't. And then you'd have to like combat how tart passion fruit is. And that would be a headache and a half for somebody to come up with on their own. I'm just saying they would have to come up with a whole new recipe. And that's not what I want to do to somebody today. So like, I'm sure if I sat down and developed a recipe for a mocktail version, sure, but I don't want somebody to have to do the work on that. Okay, I have not heard of anybody making any of these with me today, so we're just chilling. So I'm gonna go ahead and get myself started. Everybody good? I feel like I would have seen, I don't know. I thought I had 2 people that were going to make stuff, but they might be coming later or just watching later. Okay. You ready? You're gonna make one. You're just using the can of V8. Okay, so you're gonna make the Bloody Mary with me. I keep wanting to call it a Bloody Maria because I want to make it with tequila. A Bloody Mary. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, nice. Well, good. That's the first one. If you can't see, I already have the ingredients out, so that'll be a good situation that we've got going on there then. Okay. What? Should I not do it in this position? Is that not where I'm?
That's not my question. Are you going to be standing there the whole time?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to move like. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna move back there to grab stuff and bring it front and just like shift stuff around. But I will be standing here to like make everything. Like I've got my cooktop to pull forward, so we should be good. Okay. Yeah. Trying to think about what I want to say. No, it won't be a Mother's Day. It'll just be like, brunch cocktails, talking about brunch cocktails with different alcohols. Yeah, we're good. Whenever you're ready. Hi, and welcome to the A Little Spoon stream. If you are looking for some brunch cocktails, some ideas, I know I've done several recipes in the past that have either had all tequila or all gin. Today, I'm gonna make 3 cocktails. We're gonna do a Pineapple-Passionfruit Margarita, yes, with tequila. We're gonna do a Bloody Mary, the perfect brunch cocktail in my opinion. We are going to do that 3 different ways, a non-alcoholic, and then also with tequila, or with this traditional vodka. And then I'm going to be doing a floral gin and tonic. So you kind of get one of every style of alcohol to kind of work through and make a decision on what you want for your best brunch. So first, we're going to start off with our Bloody Mary just because it needs to sit for a couple of hours to just let all of these ingredients, and there are quite a few, marry together and chill in the fridge before you go ahead and drink it. It is an optional step, but it is in fact better. The longer it sits, the better it gets. Much like any other savory stew that you would make if you were going to make a super stew, it's always better the next day. And that does go for this cocktail as well. The first thing that you need to do to get started is you actually need to make some, my brain just shut off. We need to make some roasted garlic. I'm holding the jar in my hand. This was roasted garlic that I actually made on stream last. We did it confit style on the stovetop. So I poured an olive oil kind of over the top of a bunch of fresh cloves of garlic, and I let that steep at a very, very, very like little bubbles every now and then heat until they cooked, until they were soft all the way through. But I do have a different way of making the roasted garlic, making it in the oven for this recipe. So I am in fact going to show you guys how to do that now. It is the first thing that you do so that it's baking in the oven while you start doing all of the other stuff and measuring everything out and moving and putting the cocktail together. So I'm going to be using this today in my cocktail, but I did want to make sure that I at least showed you guys how to make this. I've got an oven only upstairs. I'm in a downstairs studio, so we'll have to run this upstairs and get this roasting. And then I will show you how to get the cooked cloves out of it once it is done. But I kind of cut a single corner. So these cook-alongs are meant to be no measurements, nothing made, nothing done from start to finish. You are cooking with me the entire time. And so I thought that would be a good way to kind of just make everything easier on everybody. So this will eventually make it into your cocktail. If you are going to use roasted garlic, you do not have to use roasted garlic. I actually prefer it in this cocktail. While it is optional, I do think the roasted garlic gives it a little bit of a sweetness that is really, really nice. I find that fresh garlic in this can be a little bit peppery and too bright for the cocktail, but you are welcome to do that if you do not want to go through making this. That is absolutely a fine option. Garlic is delicious in either form. So the first thing you're going to do for this, you're going to turn your oven on. You're going to preheat it to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 204 Celsius. And you are going to chop off the top of a full head of garlic. Okay. And you want to make sure that you can see the tops of everything and that you cut off each and every top. Because we're going to pour some oil over the top of that. I've got some canola oil here. You could also do some olive oil, but just make sure that it's like an extra virgin olive oil because you don't want it to go over the smoke point. You want to have like a high heat neutral oil. So Olive oil is not really a neutral oil, but it works as long as it's an extra virgin. So you're just going to pour a little bit over the top. Make sure that it's covered. And then you're going to wrap it up just like this. And that's going to go in the oven. I'm actually going to have my husband to walk through the camera, unless you want me to like walk to you and drop it off. What would you like me to do? You're going to grab it? Just go ahead and put it, the oven's already preheated upstairs. You can just toss it in there. And then if you could grab it in about 45 minutes to an hour, that would be super. Thanks. Okay. Okay, so next things we're gonna do is now we're gonna start actually actively building this cocktail. So I'm going to grate some ginger. I'm going to start squeezing the lemons and the limes, and we're going to get started on that. If you have found this video right now, I want you to know this is alive currently for me. So if you find this video at a later date, know that this was originally alive. I've got people over here that I'm going to be talking to. They're going to be asking questions. I'm going to be trying to answer as many things as possible with them, and just kind of in general information about these cocktails and how we're making them, and some of the best techniques that I've come up with to do things. And we're just kind of gonna go through there. So you may find this at a later date. Welcome. I hope you enjoy the cook along. Right now, we're gonna do some ginger. So this is I used this ginger a couple of days ago, if you can't tell. But the way that you peel ginger is just using the side of a spoon. It's the best, fastest way. And you just kind of run your spoon along the sides. Okay, and it takes the skin right off, nice and easy. Okay, and I am gonna cut the top of this off just a little bit because it's dried out from the refrigerator. Okay, we need about 1 teaspoon, which is somewhere between 5.5 and 6 grams of fresh grated ginger. I really liked the ginger in this cocktail. This is something I would not consider a traditional ingredient in this cocktail, but I really, really liked it. And so now I'm using it. It just gave it a nice sweet brightness that I think most Bloody Marys do not have. A lot of them, like you'll notice throughout this, I'm doing a lot of stuff that thins out the tomato juice, brightens the cocktail quite a bit, and kind of takes it from that like heavy, like savory, almost like a soup, into something that feels more like a brunch cocktail. So this is a kind of traditional, but also very, very similar to a New Orleans style Bloody Mary. I don't know if you've been to New Orleans and you've gotten a Bloody Mary there. A lot of the times it's really, really light. There's a lot of citrus, there's a lot of lemon, there's a lot of lime in it. And I have kind of taken that style of Bloody Mary and I'm using it in this recipe with just a couple of tweaks here and there for things that I prefer. And one of those is the ginger. So let's take this out. I believe, no, I don't. We're going to use volumetric measurements today because my kitchen scale decided to die on me and I plugged it into my office and it's sitting on the floor in my office. So I don't actually have it. So I'm going to do this. We're going to just use my teaspoon measuring spoon, and everything today will be volumetric. Not a big deal. Okay. I don't need it, babe. It's okay. That's why there are multiple measurements written down for these recipes. So the recipes that I post to the internet all have imperial and metric measurements. So you can do everything by weight, which is really nice for baking in particular. But I find that if you're using metric measurements, you just have a much more consistent. My husband is sliding on the floor right now to deliver the. I really hope the camera picks you up. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. Watch me not use this. Can you guys see it? For those of you who are, oh my gosh. Anyway, it gives you a more consistent result with your cooking, whether that be baking or anything else. So I prefer to use a kitchen scale, but when it comes to cocktails, it's not that deep. We can use the volumetric measurements. Phantom hand. Yeah. He's a silly one. Okay. So I'm using a microplane. You can use a really small, like, zester. I am honestly not sure that I have one. Sometimes you'll find they're like little flat, kind of handheld, but they're like wide and flat, and they're called zesters. You can use those also in the four cheese, like the four grater, right? Where it's like four-sided and you have like the big thick slices, you have the cheese side, and then you have that zester side. You could use that. It's harder to use those than a microplane. I highly, highly recommend microplanes for anything chocolate, Parmesan, citrus zests, ginger, all of that. It's a fantastic tool, and I do highly recommend a microplane if you are looking for a tool that is specific for like zest and stuff like that. Grated garlic as well. Okay, so we've got our ginger, and I am going to do this kind of in a non-traditional weird way. This is my fat separator. I use it for all sorts of things that involve anything that is 4 cups or less. So everything is going to get built into this. And I really like using it because it has the spout, so it makes it easy to pour into different things. So what I'm going to do essentially is build a cocktail in here, and then I'm going to just chill it in this. And eventually, if I decide to do 2 different kinds, right? So I'm making the Bloody Mary mix kind of right now, and then I'm not going to add alcohol in from the recipe. It does say that we're supposed to use a third of a cup or 3/4 of a cup, 3/4 of a cup, or 180 milliliters of a corn-based vodka. That is what I built this recipe with. Specifically the corn-based ones, I think they have a little bit of a brinier, warmer flavor than some of the other vodkas that are out there. And I am not going to add the alcohol at this time because I'm going to split the mix, and I'm going to make individual cocktails with the alcohol that I prefer, or no alcohol, because I will be making a non-alcoholic version today. And so it's just going to get built in one vessel, and then I'm going to actually pour multiple cocktails, kind of like if you were going to do an at-home like cocktail bar kind of a thing. If you wanted to give people the options to make different versions of a Bloody Mary, then you can kind of set that out and do that. You just kind of double. I would say, depending on how many people you had, you can double the recipe for the mix and then just set out stuff. Put a little card that says you need about 5.5 ounces or 2/3 of a cup of the Bloody Mary mix, and then about 1.5 ounces of whatever alcohol you would like, or about 45 mils of whatever alcohol you would like to serve to make yourself an individual cocktail. And that's what I'm doing today. So I am going to build in this. I know it seems weird, but I swear, I swear it works. We do strange things sometimes if they work, right? Okay, so we've got our ginger. Now I'm gonna do my lemons. Okay, like this is gonna be too many lemons because these are huge. But you need about 1/3 of a cup or 75 milliliters of fresh citrus juice. I'm going to use a bigger than necessary citrus reamer for this, but it is what it is. I've got a smaller one that I'm going to use for the limes, and then I'm going to use the bigger ones for the lemons. So I can keep the liquid separate, just because I'm going to be juicing a lot of limes today. All of these cocktails have lime in it. You get tubes of garlic and ginger now. Is there too much effort? I get that. I tend to bulk roast garlic, or I'll get like the bags of pre-peeled garlic because I hate peeling garlic so much. And I'll run it through a blender or a food processor to mince them. And then I will put it in little silicone molds. They're like about a teaspoon each. And I'll fill those up and freeze them, and then have like little garlic pucks or like ginger pucks, and it works really well. Honestly, that might already be enough. Okay, let's see. We need 1/3 cup. Yay. It says in here 1 to 3 lemons, and I did that on purpose. We're at the end of citrus season, so there are still some pretty big ripe lemons and limes out there. And sometimes if a lemon is ripe enough and large enough, you get 1/3 cup in one go, or that 75 mils in one go, which is exactly what happened here. So sometimes if your lemons are out of season, then you're gonna kind of need a little bit of extra there. I in fact did not need that today. I do, however, want to strain the pulp out of this. So we're gonna do that real quick. You don't need to strain the pulp. I just also, in case there are seeds, I'm gonna just like make sure that everything is strained. The pulp doesn't really matter. Like we're adding literal spices to this mix. So the pulp's not going to be a big deal, but if some like of the little seeds or anything get in, you don't really want to eat that. So. Okay. We're going to move on to our limes now. And we're going to do the same exact amount. If you have citrus that is on the underripe side, I do highly recommend one of two things depending on how unripe they are. You definitely, in order to get kind of the juices kind of flowing around the inside of your fruit, I guess is how we'll say that. You put the heel of your palm and then roll from kind of about center palm through the heel of your palm. And that will loosen up and break a lot of the little, I don't know, what do we call that? I don't know. Huh? Not fibers. I don't know what to call it. Hey, chat, anybody know what that's called? I don't know why my brain is I guess membrane works. This, like, it'll break up all of the little membranes holding the juice in the fruit and kind of squish them, and you'll get a little extra juice out of your citrus. Another thing you could do is stick it in the microwave for about 10 to 15 seconds. That will heat everything up, and that does essentially the same thing. So if they're really underripe, or a lot of the time if it has like a really, really thick pith, you're not going to get a lot of juice out of them. And so I do highly recommend toss it in your microwave for about 10 to 15 seconds, set it down, give it a little bit of a press with the heel of your hand, and you will end up getting a little bit of more juice out of the lime than if you had not done that, or citrus in general if you had not done that. It is pulp. Like, it is pulp. Are you squeezing juice out of the pulp though? Like, because the pulp is what's remaining, right? So that's kind of like, I was like, I almost said pulp, and then I was like, that's the remainder. So I'm not sure what we want to call that. A cooking stream in this economy? I know, right? Okay, so like I said, we need the same amount. So I'm working on about 75 mils here. I'm essentially getting all of the liquid taken care of, and then we'll move on to the spice, all the spices at the end. Okay. Same thing. These are on the harder side. I haven't been able to find good limes lately, which is kind of surprising. Honestly, with this many limes getting used, I should make oleo. Okay. Just a, let's see. All right, just a quick check-in. I do have somebody who's cooking live with me today to make this Bloody Mary. Chibi, are you doing good? How are we doing? I feel like I'm gonna knock something over. I want to, don't know where my paper towels went, so I'm gonna open up a new bag. They disappeared on me. So I'm losing, because I'm pressing down on the citrus, you will probably notice if you're doing it too, that the oils from the citrus rind are coming off in your hand and it makes them very slippery. So I am going to do this just so that it's a little bit of a no slip grip. You could use like a kitchen towel too. I just know that I have more control if I have a smaller piece of paper towel. If I'm using like a whole kitchen towel, there's a good chance that it might start soaking up some of the juices that I'm attempting to squeeze into the bottom of this container, and I don't want that to happen. So just something simple. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really like this backsplash too. They're like full 18-inch tiles, which is great. It's much easier to clean, less grout, right? And I did not put it in, which was even better. Came with the house. Okay. Let's do another one. We'll do this guy. Okay, and then once we have our limes done, we'll pour in our V8 juice. I used to make this, so this recipe was halved when I put it on the website because I was like, who is gonna make a picture of Bloody Marys for themselves? But when I first came up with this recipe, I did it because I was making like brunch for people. And so I actually made it as like a huge batch. Like it would make like eight or more cocktails. And then I was like, I can't be doing that to the internet. So I halved it and tweaked it at like a much lower amount. My husband's in chat. He said if this wasn't a cook along, we would have prepped all of this already and we'd be drinking by now. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is to do this from start to finish. Okay. That should be enough. Just gonna run my spoon along the reamer to get some of that liquid that got trapped by the pulp down into the base. Okay, and then we're gonna do basically the same thing that we did. This we'll just pour it in and then strain from there. It should be, yay! My eyeballs still work. I can still eyeball stuff. There we go. And then there's really just a touch. There's like not like a half a teaspoon we're gonna 3 milliliters never hurt anybody. Okay. Where's this juicer from? The little guy here that I'm using? I actually got it on a tour from Fresh from Florida, but you can buy them online. I'm pretty sure that I have. I'll check. If you stay during the live, if you stay through to the end, when we end this video, I'll check my Amazon storefront and I can send you a link. I'll put it in chat or something like that to the juicer. I'm pretty sure that I have one in my Amazon storefront, but I cannot be certain, so I would have to look it up. And if I can't find it in my storefront, I'll add it, but I'll send you a link to the product so that you can get one if you want one. But yeah, I've seen these. Sometimes I've seen these at like grocery stores. But like, yeah, it's just a little citrus reamer. It goes to a half of a cup. So it'll hit you about up to 120 mils. And I love these. I mean, I have a whole bunch of other products. Like I have like, full citrus reamers and all that kind of stuff. But I find that these work well enough, and we're never needing enough citrus that like just doing it by hand is like it's just not a big deal to us. So, okay. V8. We need 2 cups, about 480 mils of the OG V8 juice. We're not doing any kind of like V8 splash with fruit juice or any of that kind of stuff. Though you could make this with some carrot juice too. If you really wanted to do that. Fun little twist, right? Why not? And then I'm going to do, let's see. I guess we'll just pour 6 of these because why not? We're not going to waste one. Just have to make sure I keep track too. Because I will lose count if I stop thinking hard enough. There you go. Make sure you shake. I mean, I guess if you're using like a can or something, not too bad. But make sure you shake. That is not the lid for that. Make sure you shake, or at least like move around the liquid that you're using, the V8, so that it kind of mixes everything up a little bit before you add it. Otherwise, you're going to lose some of the stuff on the bottom. A Mike's Hot Honey V8? Seriously? That's kind of cool. That sounds good. Okay. Next on the list is the alcohol. But as I said earlier, I am not adding the alcohol. I'm making strictly the mix. So I'm making just the base, and then I will add the alcohol when I make a cocktail later. Or I will add some sparkling water. I've got some sparkling water back there that I'm going to add, and we can talk a little bit about that as well for the non-alcoholic version. So now we're going to skip that. We're going to move into the Worcestershire sauce. We're using 1.5 tablespoons or 22.5 milliliters. And I'm going to just pull this guy out. This is my 1/2 tablespoon. This is 7.5 mils. I'm going to do 3 of these. Actually, this is kind of the same thing. You want to shake this too. Just get everything mixed up. So for those of you who were freaking out earlier about Clamato, if you've never had it, yes, it does have clam juice in it. But just so you know, if you ever use Worcestershire, you're eating anchovies. So you didn't escape anything. They use anchovies in Worcestershire. So if you want to be like that person that's like, I hate anchovies, but do you really? The wash your sister sauce. Clamato is good. I agree. Okay, and then I've called this a Dirty Bloody Mary on the website because I add olive brine to this as well. So earlier I had said it's non-traditional to add ginger. It's also non-traditional to add olive brine, but I really like olives. And a lot of the times a Bloody Mary will come with olives, like either cocktail onions or olives, or I guess what else? You get celery sometimes. There's like a whole bunch of different things. Sometimes you can get entire meal with your Bloody Mary, depending on where you are. But it'll come with like 2 or 3 olives that you can have. And I'm like, well, why not just add the brine as well? So we're adding brine today. I'm going to add 15 mils of that, which this is a brand new. So we're going to kind of just do this guy. Okay. Sometimes I will add more. It really depends on how I'm feeling. But I'm going to stay on book today. Next, we're going to do the hot sauce. Now, okay, we're gonna have a conversation about this. I want crystal hot sauce in this. I did not realize that when I moved to Colorado, I no longer had access to crystal hot sauce. So I have a Louisiana hot sauce instead. I have not tasted this yet. I'm really hoping it tastes the way that Crystal does. Crystal hot sauce tastes a lot like celery, and it works really, really, really well in this cocktail. I highly, highly recommend that you get that and you stick to that and do not substitute it. Though I am going to try this right now, and I guess we'll find out. It's okay. This is a good substitute. Crystal hot sauce is better. If you have access to that, please get that instead of this. This is just what we're going to be doing because it's all that I could find. And I didn't want to get a Tabasco, and I didn't want to get, like, we keep Cholula in the house, we keep Sriracha in the house, and we keep Crystal in the house, and I ran out. And I thought that when I went to the store that I could get it, and I could not, in fact, get it. So is this hot sauce like spicy? It's like a medium spice, I guess. Worst thing about moving to Colorado, no Crystal hot sauce. I was sad. Yeah, also no Publix deli meat. That was a sad day too, to be very honest. Okay, there's not a lot of hot sauce in this guy. I'm only using half a teaspoon, which is about 2.5 mils. Nothing crazy. I tend to keep it on the milder side just because I'm aiming to give this to other people. When I'm making it, it's not just for me to be drinking. If you want to add a couple extra dashes to your individual cocktail, go on, do it. But that is a measure with your heart kind of situation. We do have a P.O. box, Josher. Oh my gosh. If I had an H-E-B and had to move to a different grocery store, I would be very upset as well. But we do not, in fact, have H-E-Bs here, and nor have I ever lived with an H-E-B. I've just visited them. And it's like Disneyland for me. It's like going to Disney, going to the H-E-B. It was an event. Okay, we're going to do some celery seed now. Got half a teaspoon of celery seed, which is about 1.7 grams. If you're weighing it out with your kitchen scale. Okay, then we're going to move into some ground black pepper. I have a pepper grinder here. Literally nothing is pre-measured. Literally just making all the things. This is how we do this. Okay, I only needed a 1/4 teaspoon, so I'm pretty sure I've got that already. Yes, I do. Okay, I've got this on a really fine setting, but I do find that fresh ground is obviously going to taste better than if you're just kind of pulling out of something that's pre-ground. Because it's not getting cooked, it's not going to release any extra oils or anything like that the way that it would if you were toasting or cooking or pan frying, sauteing, whatever. Some kind of pre-scooped or pre-ground black pepper. But as long as you're cooking with it, it will release a lot of that. But because we're not cooking, I want to make sure that I'm fresh grinding any ingredients that I can or fresh using any ingredients that I can because there is no heat here. Now we're going to do some kosher salt. I'm using Diamond Crystal kosher salt. If you are using a salt other than Diamond Crystal kosher salt, please use the metric measurement for this. It is 1.2 grams of salt. Salt structures are very different from brand to brand. And Morton, if you have a Morton kosher salt, the Morton kosher salt is actually 30% heavier than the diamond crystal kosher salt. So if you're going by a volumetric measurement, you're actually oversalting by about 30%. That's why I'm listing which salt I'm using in here. If you weigh your salt, so if you're using Morton salt and you do not go by a volumetric measurement, and you go by the weight, then you are using the correct amount of salt. And everything will be fine if you do it that way. So just keep that in mind if you are using a different salt than a diamond crystal kosher salt. Or you can make the cocktail and then salt, like make the mix, taste it, and then salt to taste. If that's something else that you want to do, that is also an option. Okay, I'm actually going to give this a little bit of a mix now. Make sure that it is all together. And then the last thing last couple of things we're going to do is we're going to add in some celery bitters. And we're going to add in some roasted garlic. You're going to have to watch me kind of mash that and prep that for this because it can be a little bit different. Let me clean this up just a touch. Be back to those later. Okay. Got our celery bitters. 4 to 6 dashes out of this guy is a lot different. So you're going to see me do a lot of dashes. If you have a large guy, it's going to put out quite a bit when you do a dash. These guys are super little. These are kind of like the taster sets, but they have everything. And I really don't make enough cocktails with, like I've got big ones for like grapefruit orange and like chocolate bitters, and Angostura, but pretty much everything else, it's like I like to have the tasters because we just don't go through them enough. And they last a really long time because they're alcohol. So we're going to do, it says 4 to 6 dashes. I'm probably going to do about 8 dashes just for funsies because these are little guys. Okay. Got some celery bitters in there. Think of bitters the same way that you think of spices, right? So it's not like a full ingredient, but it is adding a little extra something flavor-wise, like a hint of extra this or something like that to a cocktail that you would otherwise not have. It's really, really good. It's really good to just mess around with some bitters. They're always really fun too. And you can even, they're actually really great. They're great as a bittering agent in mocktails as well, or like, I can't say mocktail because obviously it's got alcohol in it, but like low ABV. So if you're working on like a spritz or something that you want to have like a relatively low ABV, using bitters as a way to flavor something with a little bit, like a hint of XYZ into something that would otherwise be low ABV or a mocktail, is a great way to kind of push it in one direction or another with a bittering agent, which will make it taste more like a cocktail. So if you have a bunch of fruit juice and you have maybe some soda water or some tonic or something like that, adding a bitter in will push it into like kind of a cocktail territory without adding like a whole bunch of liquor to it. So it can be helpful if you think of it that way and you think about it as like a spice instead of like a liquored ingredient. Okay, last thing is the roasted garlic. So if you are currently making this at home, because I know I do have somebody that is doing that with me, your garlic bulb is still in the oven. But this is essentially what you're going to get out of it. So let's just kind of, right? So it's got I've only got 1 clove of roasted garlic in this. It's about 3 grams. Or about a half of a teaspoon. And I say mashed. And the reason that you say mashed is because when it's roasted, it turns into like a really nice soft paste. And it mixes so well into our cocktail mix here. So what I'm doing essentially is I'm making sure that I'm breaking it down into a full paste, that none of that outside membrane is stuck together. And now what I'm going to do from here, okay, so this is not just like a plop it in and you're done, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of a jar, okay? Or a dip bowl or whatever we feel like calling this, a finger bowl or something, okay? And then I'm actually going to take just a touch of liquid from this. not too much. It's almost like if you were gonna make a cornstarch slurry. We're thinking about it kind of in the same way, is if I dropped this guy in, it might stay together in a clump because there's so much liquid around it. Whereas if I put it in just a touch of liquid and then really break it apart, it will emulsify in here. Garlic can emulsify really well. And so we're basically turning this into like a thinned out paste, and then we're putting it in and we're letting that imbue the rest of the cocktail. See? So now you can see how much that broke up, and then that's going to get put into our cocktail ready to go. Because I have more surface area to work with. Where did I put? Okay. So I'm going to just scrape this out now. I'm going to go right into my cocktail mix, my Bloody Mary mix. There you go. I'm also going to rinse this off because I'm supposed to be making some rosewater simple syrup for the next recipe. And now I'm nervous it's going to taste like garlic. We'll see. No, it should be good. Okay. Okay. I'm going to put our mix now into the refrigerator. As soon as I give this one more little whisk. And we're going to let this chill in the fridge for a little bit. I believe in my recipe, I said that it needs to be in there for about 2 hours. If you can do longer than that, that makes it even better. But 2 hours is kind of the minimum. We're obviously going to be drinking that sooner than that for this, just so that I can kind of go through each of the versions that I was going to do today. But it's still drinkable like the second you make it. It's just kind of one of those things that it gets better with time. Okay, let's move this stuff out of the way. I'm still going to need that guy. We're going to bring in our next cocktail. Okay. Give my board just a little bit of a wipe here. Okay, and our next cocktail is going to use a syrup. I'm going to be doing a floral gin and tonic. Definitely brunch territory, but we have to make some rosewater simple syrup. So I'm going to start that now. We're going to bring all of our ingredients here. Okay. Oh, I guess I have this now. That works for me. We'll do it by volume. It's fine. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to make our rosewater simple syrup. I have some refined sugar, refined granulated sugar, water, and then we've got some rose water here. Okay. Get some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, you're going to use 1/2 cup, okay, of the refined sugar. Where the heck am I? There we go. Refined granulated sugar. It's about 120 grams. Okay. And then the same amount of water. So this is a traditional simple syrup. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. If you were doing a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts sugar, 1 part water, it would be a rich simple syrup. We are doing 1-to-1 today. I want this to be a thinner syrup. Technically, you don't need heat to make this. It just makes it faster. Sugar will dissolve in water over time, but we're saving time, so we're going to heat it just a touch. So I'm gonna turn this guy on. We're gonna heat this just until the sugar dissolves. You do not need it to boil. Okay, and then we are going to add in a 1/4 teaspoon, which I do have over here. We're going to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of the rose water that I have here. Nielsen Massey is probably my favorite brand for flavored extracts and things like that. I use it for vanilla. I've got their almond extract. They've got a wonderful orange extract. This is their rose water. Do not, it is not the same thing. Do not use a rose essence or a rose extract. You are looking specifically for rose water. Rose essence or extract is so much more concentrated that you could probably take like a toothpick, stick a toothpick's worth in here and it would still be too strong. Okay? I did attempt using an extract when I was developing this recipe and I could not get a small enough amount to make this syrup. So you don't, just make sure like that you're double checking your labels and stuff like that when you are purchasing the rose water. I do believe that I also think that I have this linked in my Amazon storefront. If you do not have a place that sells Nielsen Massey stuff by you, I believe it is also in there. Okay. Yeah, please. My husband's gonna go run upstairs and get the garlic. The timing usually works pretty well for the Bloody Mary between like popping the garlic in the oven and then getting all of the ingredients together, so. That was quite nice. Okay, I'm basically just waiting for this to be no longer hazy. I don't want to see any crystals in here that are undissolved. And then once that haze clears, I'm going to take this off the heat and I'm going to add in my rose water. Okay, so already done. Thank you. Appreciate it. And that is all the cooking that we're going to do on today's stream. Yay! We love that for me. Okay, so now I've got my simple syrup. It's obviously hot. We're going to let that chill just a touch. I'm going to use my 1/4 teaspoon here. Of the rose water, that's going in. And now my simple syrup is done. I'm just gonna give it a bit of a mix. Your house is gonna smell really pretty. It's gonna smell just like potpourri for a bit. I know floral cocktails are not for everyone, but they are for me. Oh, hi, Joshua and YouTube. Hello. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this guy, because I want this syrup to cool and I have to have it cool. I don't really have to have it cool, but I would like it to be cool by the time I make my cocktail. I don't want to over dilute it because I have something really warm in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take out the amount of simple syrup that I need, which is about 3/4 of an ounce, and I'm gonna put it into here and let it kind of cool itself off for just a minute. You could put it in a freezer, you could put it in a refrigerator. It'll spread out, that small amount will spread out, and then the surface area that it's covering will help chill it faster. And that's kind of what I'm going to attempt to do. So I need 3/4 of a cup of that. We're gonna maybe get this out. There we go. Wait, I said 3/4 of a cup, 3/4 of an ounce. 3/4 of an ounce. And that is 22.5 milliliters. Goodness. Okay. Fun. Okay, so now I'm just gonna I'm gonna stick this in the refrigerator, actually, while I build the rest of the cocktails. And we're gonna let that chill. Okay. And then this, I'll put into a container so that I'll use this for some coffee maybe. I'll make a latte later. It'll be nice. Okay. We'll move our syrup to a separate container, chill that off. Whatever works best. Okay. Okay, next we are going to squeeze another lime. Hey, let's do it. I have this knife, but I smashed the garlic with it. So I'm really worried that my cocktails are gonna start to taste like garlic. So we're gonna use a different knife for the remainder of the recipes. Like I said, there's lime in every single one of these cocktails. So I'm gonna be juicing quite a bit of limes today. Okay, do the same thing we did before. I'm just gonna use a little bit of a paper towel when I'm squeezing my lime juice. This guy is only gonna need about a half an ounce or 15 mils of fresh lime juice. Okay, good enough. So let's build this cocktail a bit. We're already ready for everything, so we're gonna just get right into it, and then I'll pull that syrup back out. We're gonna build the rest of the cocktail in this guy because there's really not a lot going on here. So you need 1.5 ounces or 45 milliliters of whatever gin you are going to use. I highly, highly recommend either an herbal, floral, or citrus forward gin, whatever that means to you if you have a favorite gin. Some gins can be a little bit brinier and warmer in flavor or peppery. I would not recommend a peppery gin with this cocktail. But anything that is like maybe kind of herbaceous, if it's juniper forward, that would probably be good. Or if it's citrus forward, or if it's floral, any of those will be great. Okay, then we're gonna do our half an ounce or our 15 mils of the lime juice. Okay. We're gonna do some lavender bitters. If I can open it. And then we also have some hibiscus bitters here. Hibiscus bitters here. They're absolutely trying to distract me. Okay, this does not seem to be opening. And it is a really small top. And I do not currently have a pinky that is in use. Okay. Okay, we're gonna heat this up and get it, whatever is gumming it to come loose. I don't ever remember which direction this sink needs to be turned on for the hot water because it's backwards. So I guess forward would be hot and back would be left. The thing spins this way to get hot or cold. It's not like a twist left or right. It's an actual like, okay, it's getting warm. I think just some of the liquid got stuck under the cap and it's gummed it up. So we're just gonna heat it up and we're gonna loosen it with the heat and then it should spin fine. If this ever happens to you, if you're like having trouble with a jar or something like that, just run it under some hot water. Or if you, depending on how much you need that to like have a perfect seal, you could also take a knife and go like underneath a jar lid, and that should also help. Look at that. Like it wasn't even stuck. Okay, so we're gonna do, how many dashes of this? We've only got 1 dash of this guy. I am gonna do 2 because like I said, these are really small and the dashes are not quite the same. And then we're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of the hibiscus bitters. So that's actually going to be a whole situation. Hibiscus is really nice. It's tart, but it's also tannic. So it's kind of like if you were going to have like a tea. It's like a floral tart fruit tea. And it's really, really nice. And I really like these bitters. And so that is why there's so much of it. Okay. And we are ready to make this cocktail. Look at that. That took no time. How excited are we? Grab some ice. This will be our first cocktail of the day. Love that. Okay. I'm going to toss the rest of our cocktail in to the small end of our shaker. And I'm going to do a little bit of a, there we go. Okay. This goes over the ice, shake. Okay. And then because we have citrus in this, we are going to double strain, which I don't know what I did with my other strainer, so we're going to use this guy. We're going to double strain so that we don't get any of the citrus pulp. And it also kind of doubles up to make sure that the ice shards from the ice that we just shook don't end up in our cocktail and create a weird texture. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do 2 ounces. This is something I usually just like I'll just pour on site, but we're going to make this the perfect cocktail. So 2 ounces of this guy. This is elderflower tonic water. We got 60 mils of this. That's going to float right over the top. That is our first cocktail. If you want to garnish it real pretty, like how it's garnished in the recipe online, you can toss some pretty flowers in it. Yay! You drink this. That's lovely. Ooh, I forgot how good that was. This is one of the first recipes that I developed for cocktails. You made the passion fruit margarita one, so your drink ahead. That's the last one we're going to be doing. Do you like it? Oh, that's good. Okay. We have our first cocktail here. I'm going to move our ingredients out of the way. Oh, that's so good. Guys, that's so yummy. Still going to need this. Let's see. Move that guy out of the way. We'll come back to our Bloody Mary last. But I guess I can do this. We'll do this last. Let's make our next cocktail. Somebody just said that they already made the Pineapple-Passionfruit Margarita. That's what we're going to be making now. I am, in fact, going to put it in a weird glass. I'm not going to put it in a rocks glass. I'm going to put it in a coupe just for funsies, because why not? Okay. We got our first cocktail here. I call this a passion fruit pineapple margarita because it's basically exactly what it is. It's not gonna taste like a margarita though. Like it's more interesting of a cocktail than that. It's earthier than you would typically get in a margarita. A lot of the time a margarita is like, hey, I'm using citrus, I'm using sugar, I'm using tequila. And like, that's kind of the end of it. Specifically the Chinola passion fruit. Okay, so Chinola is a company out of the Dominican Republic that makes liqueurs. They're all very good. They have multiples of them. I believe they also have a pineapple and they do have a mango as well, but they are like bitter and earthy and also tart. So it's like a really interesting liqueur to use just in general with cocktails, like in general. There is another passion fruit liqueur out there. It's called Passoa. It is absolutely not the same thing. They cannot be substituted. I believe that I mentioned that a couple of times in the recipe on the website. So if you go and you're wanting to purchase ingredients to make this cocktail, know that you specifically need to use the Chinola. It is the only passion fruit liqueur that will make this cocktail balanced the way that it was made originally. Things that you can change out, because why not? I'm using Tres Agaves Reposado. I prefer Reposado tequila in this one. I also think that I prefer to have, again, kind of like a briny vegetal tequila. I do not like the sweet tequilas for this. Sometimes you can find tequilas that like are peppery and sweet. And they maybe have like a little bit of like an oaky vanilla caramel kind of situation going on in the notes, in the tasting notes. I would not recommend that you use that for this. I do recommend something that is on the warmer side. So you can use the Tres Agaves. There are other brands that I highly recommend. Most of them though, I wouldn't buy them to mix with them. So like this is kind of our mixing tequila that we use whenever we make mixed cocktails. The next thing that I would probably go up to, I don't even think we have, Código is a good one. It is probably the only celebrity tequila, celebrity alcohol in general that I like. It's George Strait's tequila brand, but he did a really good job, and I actually do really like that tequila. El Tesoro is another one that would work here. Their stuff tends to be kind of on the briny, warmer side. G4 is another good one. Valence is another good one, but those I consider sipping tequilas. So I probably wouldn't be using those for mixers. If you find something that's on the neutral side, that is also an option. But I do like the aged taste that like a Reposado tequila will give to this. It just kind of warms the cocktail out nicely. But if you want to go with a Blanco or you want to go with something that's a little bit more neutral, you can also do that as well. Not a problem. So you can substitute the tequila you're using. I know that the Velvet Falernum liqueur that I have here, I know there are other brands that make this. That's fine. You can switch out this as well. If you find a different falernum syrup, you can make falernum syrup at home. If you're making it at home, I cannot guarantee that it is going to taste the same in this cocktail. But if you feel like doing that and that's something you're interested in, you can in fact do this at home. And then you can also, instead of using a canned pineapple juice, you can in fact like juice a pineapple and use fresh pineapple juice. It's actually better if you use fresh pineapple juice, but I wanted to make an easy cocktail for the first time ever. Because all my cocktails kind of like, you have to make a syrup or you have to do whatever. And I was like, I just need something to be ingredients that come together. So I have some pineapple juice here and that works well for me. So we've got some canned pineapple juice, but you can use fresh pineapple juice if that is something that you really want to do. Let's make this cocktail. Now that we've talked about all the ingredients, let's go ahead and make this. Okay, so we need our fresh lime juice. We need about 0.75 ounces. We need 3/4 of an ounce. This is our 22.5 milliliters all over again of our lime juice. I've got the other half of that first lime from the last cocktail, so I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do another half of a lime. And that should give us what we need. they can see what I'm doing. Okay, yep. Let's move this stuff just slightly over so it's a little out of the way. I'm hiding from you guys today. Okay. There we go. Oh, this was a good lime. We will have more than enough for this cocktail. And I will come back to the Bloody Mary as soon as we're done with this. Vegetal, question mark. Okay, so vegetal just means that it's kind of like tastes like a green vegetable. So it'll be like, if you look at tasting notes, like if you go online and you're like, what does this specific tequila taste like or smell like or whatever, you'll probably see green pepper. That is what is considered the vegetal component in a lot of tequilas. If you're seeing that, it'll say like green pepper. So that it's kind of, think about that, is it's like a green pepper or like that kind of jalapeno. A lot of jalapenos aren't really spicy anymore. They're just like green tasting. It's kind of, but yeah, that's kind of the flavor profile that you're going for. Is that helpful? Was that helpful to you? I hope so. Okay, we need 22. We need 3/4 of an ounce. I'm gonna pour that now. Okay, got that there. I am, in fact, going to build this in 2 separate glasses just because it's easier to measure. This kind of throws off the rest of the measurements. So we're gonna do all of these guys now. I'm gonna add this guy first. Okay, we need 1 ounce of our falernum. This is acting as our simple syrup, right? So if you're thinking about a margarita and you're using some kind of agave or some kind of sweetened syrup or something like that, this is essentially what we're using for that. Okay. We need 1 ounce of the passion fruit liqueur. Notice she's thick. Very good and delicious. Okay, and then we need 1.5 ounces of our tequila, and we need 1.5 ounces. So 45 mils of 45 mils. We just did 30 mils of each of the last 2 ingredients, and now we're going to be adding. So I'm going to go from 2 to 3.5 on here, and then from 3.5 to 5, which is our top line. I did not shake this. There we go. Okay. And then, like I said, we need 3, so this is about 1 ounce. So I'm going to do a little bit less than what's in here. Cool. Okay, so this is our cocktail. Let's get out our ice and our coupe. I'm going to put this into a coupe glass. We're going to be all fancy today. Again, ingredients go in the small side. Ice goes in the long side. Give it a whack. I don't think this is as good of a shaker as the other one. We'll see what happens. Yep. This is a shaker that I use for photography. It does not stick as well to the inside of that. Okay, that'll be good enough. Okay. And then we need my Hawthorne strainer, and we're double straining because we have fruit juice. And especially because it's not going to get a cube of ice in it or any other ice in it. We want it to be as smooth as possible. So all those ice shards we want out. I'm using a fine mesh strainer that is essentially what I would use for like jams and food. There are strainers out there that you can get that are not quite this. I forgot the bitters. That's why it's that color. I was wondering. I forgot the bitters. Okay, let's throw our bitters in. We'll give it a little mix with whisk, call it a day. I was like, it's supposed to be orange. What's going on here? I went too fast. The ADHD kicked in again. Got too excited. Okay, so 3 to 4 dashes. This is a large jar, if you can see. So 1, 2, 3. That's the right color. Okay, that's our second cocktail. A little bit of a circuitous way to get to it, but we made it. Let's give this a sip. That's so good too. So it's like, it's almost like you get where margarita can be, like, is the thing, but it doesn't. There's so much more to it than that. It's so much more complex of a cocktail than that, which is really nice because typically if you go out to a restaurant and they have like a cocktail program, all of the ingredients are like infused this or fat washed that, or, you know, some kind of really crazy syrup. Like we just made the rosewater syrup for our other cocktail. And it gets a little, like, if you wanted to ever try to make something like that at home, it can be kind of difficult. So I was like, really wanted to come up with something that tasted like a cocktail, that would come from a place with a like actually like really well done cocktail menu, with a couple of different things, but you don't actually need to get that fancy and you can just put it together. So that's kind of the purpose of this. But it's really good. And now we're going to do our Bloody Marys. So let's talk a little bit about the Bloody Mary situation that I have going on. So we have our mix chilled in the fridge. Okay. So we got this guy. And then I know I had a glass over here somewhere. I'm not sure where I put it. Maybe I don't have a glass over here. Oh, it's over here. Hey, why not? So I've got our vodka. We've got our tequila. And then I put it in the refrigerator, so I will go grab that. I will move stuff out of the way when I get going, I promise. Got our tahini for our rim, because I like a tahini rim. And then I have some lemon sparkling water. Okay. So, the first thing that I want to do for whomever it was, I think it was Chibi, was making a Bloody Mary with me today. So let's go ahead and talk about this guy. So we have our garlic here. And essentially what you do is you just kind of pop a clove out. Okay? And then that is your roasted garlic that you're going to use to go into here. Okay? Easy. You got it. We did it. I know I used the other clove that I had previously made, but that is essentially all that is. I think I mentioned that I'll like bulk do a bunch of these. I'll buy like a bag of garlic heads and I will like make a whole tray of these and I will push all of the roasted garlic out and then I'll make a paste of it and like make little pucks of garlic and use that when I am cooking or doing prep for cooking, I guess. You use Old Bay. I have Old Bay upstairs. I probably could have done an Old Bay rim. I like the tahini though. I like give it like a little extra kick, you know? I am going to use agave instead of lime for the rim though. I'm not usually like a sweet, savory person. I think that the citric acid in the tahini makes it like tart enough that it doesn't bother me. And you really don't get, once you're drinking the Bloody Mary, like you don't get a ton of sweetness. But I find that using a syrup for a rim, it sticks better and it lasts longer. And then it doesn't like, once the lime juice kind of like dries out, it doesn't start like falling off of your glass every time you pick your glass up and set it down. It really like annoys me. So I'm actually going to paint the rim with this. Now, the way that you turn this mix, right, into a cocktail, so you're going to pour about 2/3 of a cup, okay, it's about 5.5 ounces, into a glass with ice, and then you're going to add 1.5 ounces of whatever you want to mix it with, okay? I am actually going to make our Bloody Shame, our Virgin Mary, for what I'm doing today. Since we already have the 2 cocktails up here, I'm going to make a non-alcoholic one. If you want to add your tequila, it's a Bloody Maria. If you want to add your vodka, it's a Bloody Mary. If you want to add gin, it's a snapper, a red snapper. Go for it. Have fun with it. There are, I think on my website, I listed out like if you want like whichever liquor you want to use, that's what it'll turn into essentially. But there's like a bunch of different stuff. So I'm going to do a non-alcoholic one. I am going to get some more ice. Ugh, I really would prefer like crushed ice or like bigger, not just like one thing of ice. Like I'd probably prefer something a little bit better than that for this, but this is where we are. This is what we're going to use. I've got my 1/3 of a cup here that I was using for the citrus that I'm going to now use for my cocktail. Okay, so we need 2 of these. Okay. Oh, I didn't make the rim. That's okay. I guess I'm making a second cocktail because I wasn't paying attention. And then you're going to use about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces or so of this. We're going to give it a whisk. I know I just whisked that other cocktail. This was originally only the Bloody Mary whisk. Okay. There we go. I drank these a lot when I was pregnant. That's so good. Guys, delicious. It's nice and light. Like I don't like going somewhere and ordering, because I really do like Bloody Marys, and you order it and it's like heavy. I'm like not a fan of that. Okay, let's get this out. We'll make another one. We'll make one with alcohol in it. Why not? Or I could just do a rim and show you guys what it looks like to do a salt rim or a tahini rim for one of these guys. We can just do a single glass, right? That'll be fine. Let's do. Okay. I'll take a little glass. This is like for pudding and stuff like that. Excuse me 1 second. Excuse me. Whew. Okay. Agave. This is honestly so simple. Okay. You're going to put a little agave right onto a paintbrush. And then, I don't know, we'll do like a half moon or a semicircle or something like that. Okay, really thin layer. Nice and, okay, we'll do the top and then done. Easy. It's not gonna fall off anywhere, and good coverage and all that. So easy, yeah. And that's the rim for that, because apparently I go too quickly. So we got 3 cocktails and an empty glass. Should I make a cocktail in that? I don't even know if that will fit all of the whole drink actually. Okay. Here are our brunch cocktails in a beer glass, because why not? Got our Bloody Mary, we've got our Pineapple-Passionfruit Margarita, and we have our I call it a garden party, but it's basically a floral gin and tonic. Rhetorical question, should I make a cocktail? Yes. Yes, absolutely you should. Okay, does anybody have any questions now that we've done all of our cocktails in essentially an hour and 45 minutes. You can never go wrong with a gin and tonic. You're very right. They're also good. Yay. If I had to choose, I'd probably end up going with our Bloody Mary here. But it's just because I like them so much. It's just nice and light. Anybody, any questions? Any thoughts on any of this stuff? Cute. That's cute. Okay, well, I guess we'll end our main video. Let's do our outro here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I loved making brunch cocktails with you guys. If anybody has any questions or wants to leave a comment here in YouTube, you can go ahead and do so. Please do subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. I do have lots of other cooking videos that I have done that are not all cocktails, though there are some cocktail cooking videos that are in the playlist. If you do comment, I am, constantly kind of checking to see if anybody has questions or something like that. So I will see it. I will respond. Same thing goes with the website, alittlespoon.com. There are about 100 recipes on there at this point of all different kinds of things, from cocktails to entrees, desserts, and breakfast items, snacks, the whole shebang. And if you have any questions there, you're welcome to comment as well. And you can DM me right from my website if you want to ask me other food questions that have nothing to do with any of the recipes. I am happy to get into food science as much as I can and help anybody if they do have any trouble working with anything in general food-wise. I do have a newsletter that goes out once a month that talks about kind of what I'm up to that month. It'll tell you what recipe you're going to be seeing that month. It'll give kind of replays and things that I've done in the past. It'll tell you what the next cooking stream is. And I also do Insta Lives with a good friend of mine. And we talk a lot about just food industry in general. And then also do some cooking stuff lives as well. So it'll give you all that information. You can sign up for that on my website or at my link in bio on my Instagram. My handle there is also at alittlespoon. There are underscores in between where the spaces would go. So _little_spoon. Because unfortunately, I was not the first little spoon to hit the market on Instagram, but that's fine. I'm in a bit of a rearrangement on content lately. So there's a little less than normal, but it's still the quality content I think that everybody wants to get out of my platforms. I do talk a lot. I didn't get a chance to talk about a lot of food science today. We did a little bit. There was a little technique, a little tips and tricks and things like that. But my whole thing is teaching. I love to teach about food. I like to make people feel comfortable, make them feel like they know what they're doing in the kitchen, help them along as best I can. So there's a lot of food science and information about substitutions and stuff on my website with my recipes. So when you're making something, it will take you step to step, instruction wise, on like what you should be seeing, what you should be doing, and then also give you a lot of FAQs that go heavy into the food science and why I'm using certain ingredients and why steps are in a certain order and all that kind of stuff. So if you guys enjoyed this, please do find me. Please do comment on the things that I'm making. It does really help. And thanks for joining me. I hope that you come to the next live if you found this at a later date. It'll be really nice to see you around. Bye. Yeah. I do not like Bloody Marys with food piled on top. No. A tahini rim is absolutely delish. I concur. That was cute, apothecary. That was cute. Okay, did you want any of this? This one diluted quite a bit. I feel like I should take the ice cube out of it. I've not done fruit caviar, though I really want to mess with it. Yeah, it's just you use agar-agar or agar-agar or whatever we want to call it. The cocktail did come out of the shaker, so I've got like it's like sticky. I gotta clean the floor up. I knew that was gonna happen because I knew that it doesn't suction as well as the two metal together because the glass rim is so thick. Yeah, over here with the spoon in it that it like doesn't stay together very well.
One first.
Go for it. But it is something that I want to do. You're basically using like an alginate, and you would take. So it's like you have the agar-agar in one that will gelatinize. Huh?
No alcohol.
No alcohol in that one. That will gelatinize, and then you have like an alginate. I think it's like sodium alginate or something like that. And you drip your solution, your fruit solution, into the secondary solution, and it will spherification. Spherify? Sure. It's called spherification, but I guess spherify would be the action verb there. The liquid that you're dropping into it. And it's basically like making like the tapioca pearls, like boba. And you can turn that into like, you kind of scoop them out with a slotted spoon or like some kind of like strainer or mesh or something like that. What? Yeah, I used them in the pictures when we did the pineapple. Yeah, it's for garnish. Yeah. And then that kind of gets topped onto different things. And you can top it on, like say you made a pavlova or ice cream or, I don't know, you wanted it to actually be in a drink, right? As like kind of like a boba situation. Like you could make all that kind of stuff. It's really cool. Yeah, the smoky Maria with the mezcal is really nice. Yeah, so restaurant, if a Bloody Mary has tequila in it, it's a Bloody Maria. If it's mezcal, it's a smoky Maria.
Okay,
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
Cocktails. What is the longest amount of time you're willing to spend to make a single cocktail?
Yeah. See, I'm willing to spend lots of time.
You have no limit.
I have no limit. The limit does not exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, 10 minutes.
So this is the only cocktail you would have made today. Unless I prepped ingredients.
I make this cocktail
He makes this cocktail all the time. I mean, the Bloody Mary doesn't take that long. The thing is, it's like these things just have to sit or chill. Like none of this took that long.
If I'm making a cocktail.
Even this one takes less time than that does.
If I'm making a cocktail, I want to drink it immediately.
Yeah.
And then make another one.
Yeah. It is what it is. I'll just have a beer, please. Yeah. Right?
No. I like cocktails. I like
Easy.
making them. I feel fancy when I make them.
Yeah.
I feel like an apothecary. I feel like I'm making potions and shit.
He's making a witch's brew.
Yeah. Henry's brew.
See, okay. You know what? Thank you for justifying the things that I'm doing.
Who?
Zello says, ever since we made Carrie's margarita with the oleo saccharum, my answer to that question has changed.
Ah.
Because here's the thing is, when you go to make it, if you've pre-prepped ingredients, like yeah, you have to make the oleo, but it's not even that crazy. It's peel, sugar, by like equal weights, and then it just sits. Like it's passive cooking. I'm all about the passive cooking. I don't mind if it takes a day, 2 days, whatever. If I'm braising something, if I'm marinating something, I don't care as long as it's passive cooking.
I think I would do that if I could first make a 10-minute cocktail.
Yeah.
And I could be drinking that while I make a complicated cocktail.
You can do that. You can do that. That's a good margarita. The oleo is like, yeah.
Drinking too much.
Yeah, when I'm making them on the spot, right? Like, so like I would want to prep the syrups or prep stuff like in advance, right?
Before the party.
Yeah, and then when it's time, I just want to pull out the ingredients and throw stuff together. And it doesn't bother me to do that though, right? Where like for him, he's like, I don't want to make something so that I can make something. I just want to make something.
How much of this did you use, like beer?
Yeah, it's only an ounce and a half.
So we could make 80 cocktails.
You could make more, yeah. I have a pallet of pineapple juice in there, and he was like going through them, and I was like, you need to chill on the pineapple juice. Because I have a stream coming up in a month, and those need to be there because I need to use them.
Yo, what up, Owen? It's a nice sugar boost before a workout.
Yeah. It depends if it's for me or someone else. That's also a good point. If I'm wanting to have people over, I'm making them really nice cocktails. I'm not just, otherwise I'm like, it's like Coke and tequila and lime. Like, or I'm just like I'm, yeah, otherwise it is just a beer, right?
Cranberry
Like,
and an unknown amount of vodka.
yeah, yeah.
Takes 30 seconds and it takes too long.
That's good.
Let this go to waste.
I mean, we could make, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's nice. Yep. Cool.
Let's go to bed.
Okay, I have to clean up a whole bunch of stuff for this one. It's funny, I had less to clean up for the last stream than I did for this one.
What was the last one?
Leek and potato soup.
A lot of these dishes are really small. You could.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna end up doing. This is a lot of cups and spoons and things like
That's
that.
the thing about making cocktails. I always have like 40 little things to clean.
Yeah. Lemon juice, triple sec vodka shake. Okay, I see you. Can I interest you in a lemon oleo if you're gonna make a limoncello?
Oleo means
Oil.
oil from the skin.
Yeah, so oleo saccharum is oil sugar. That's the point. So it's basically like sugared oil, and then you add like lemon juice if you're making a limoncello. And I do have a recipe for limoncello that uses oleo.
The sugar just pulls oil right out of the...
Yes. It pulls the oil out of the rind of lemons, basically any citrus. So if you want to do grapefruit, if you want to do orange, if you want to do lemon, if you want to do lime. Unfortunately, lime gives you the least amount of oleo. Oranges and lemons give you the most. Oranges give you the most. Lemon is a very close second. The recipe is on the site. So essentially you would be peeling, right? You'd be peeling lemons, tossing it in a bag, and then it's equal weights. The lemon peels that you have, and then the sugar, right? So you weigh the lemon, then weigh the sugar, seal it up in a bag, let it sit for like a day. And then the next day you make your limoncellos. I say limoncello. Limoncello is not what I'm looking for. What am I looking for? Why? What is the cocktail? Lemon drop. You make your lemon drop the next day. So it's lemon juice, the oleo, the vodka, and it's so good. It's so good. It's a lemon drop. That's what I was looking for. And then yeah, the citrus oleo saccharum is how to make the oleo saccharum in general, but there is in fact a lemon drop cocktail. I was saying limoncello, lemon drop. Limoncello takes a really long time to make. This is much faster than that.
If you make the oleo sack.
Well, limoncello takes like a month to make.
A month?
Yeah. So it's peels and like 151, and you like sit it in a cupboard and you like give it a shake every now and then, and it pulls all of the lemon oil into the liquor.
Technically,
yeah.
People are talking about like, oh, these cocktails take too long to make. Beer. How long does that take?
Right, it takes weeks to make.
It takes forever to make a beer.
I guess if you're gonna age it in a barrel, it takes even longer.
So you need to sell pre-made.
Thank you, Zellos. Thank you. Thank you.
Carry cocktails. We should have a cocktail.
Just finished your apple and brie grilled cheese. It smells yummy. despite using a different cheese and jam. Hey, cool. I hope you like it. They're so good. There you go. Marcus, that's smart.
Yeah, it is pretty smart.
Nice. I kid you not.
That'd be dangerous.
I use my website. Like the recipes that I'm putting on my website are recipes that I'm using at home.
It's just your personal.
Like it is my personal like, you know, Rolodex of recipes that I like shift through. 90% of the recipes on the website I'm using like at least a couple times a year, if not more often than that. Half the recipes I'm using on like a monthly basis.
It's weird to see you pull up your own
I pull up my own website all the time. It's just easier, honestly.
No life story before the good stuff.
Yeah. There's no ads. It's so much easier. Why not? Why not?
Yo, what up, Ryan? I toasted.
Bye, Taco.
We only had one.
Enjoy the Masters.
Probably only had.
We each had one cocktail, kind of. Yeah. So I had 2 cocktails here and then one that was a non-alcoholic. So we had a Virgin Mary. I thought that was really funny. So I said it earlier before we started the stream. The bloody shame.
Yeah,
it's a bloody shame. There's no alcohol in it.
What was it? Bloody shame and Virgin Mary.
Virgin Mary, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have all this mix here. You could just, it's like takes what, 30 seconds to make your cocktail?
That is tempting.
If you used about 2.7 ounces of this, and then 3/4 of an ounce of this, you could have a half cocktail with the rim
half cocktail
already done. That's nice. That is gonna be on the stream. If somebody watches this live, they're gonna see that. Thank you so much for that.
People watch the main video.
You have leftover caster sugar from the pavlova you made this morning. I love a pavlova. Good for you. You can make okay, whoa, lazy elf over here saying you don't have time for stuff. You're making pavlova. You should give the oleo a try.
Why is pavlova?
I highly recommend.
Sounds really familiar. Pavlova.
Yeah.
What is that?
Are you thinking about Pavlov's dogs?
No.
A pavlova is what we used to get at Cool Beans, where it's a like a meringue that's baked, and then they usually did like a sorbet and some kind of like custard, and then had the fresh fruit all around it that we would
Yeah.
Pavlova.
It sounds like something from Spanish.
It probably is.
Pavlova.
Okay.
Beltalowda.
Okay. This is all live. This is all gonna show up later on my stream. It's fine. You're lucky I love you so much. A Virgin Mary is a great serving of vegetables. I have to I force myself not to order V8 on an airplane because it feels weird.
Why?
You're basically ordering tomato juice on a plane, but I know it's an option, and I'm like, I could do this. A V8 with lemon, so good.
How much of this do I add?
I thought you were gonna add alcohol to it. That's plenty. There you go. You only needed like 3/4 of an ounce. You want ice? You're so
They
gross.
can't hear it. It's so haughty.
Okay. Good afternoon, Cross. They do serve V8 on planes. Instead, you know what I do? I scam the system slightly. I say scam the system. I'm spending $200 on a plane ticket. We can afford to give me some sparkling water. I order a cranberry juice and a sparkling water with no ice, and then ask for a cup, and they'll usually give you the cans. So I will end up with either 2 mini cans, it's like 5.5 or 7 ounces of sparkling water, or club soda, or seltzer water, or whatever they keep on the plane, and then cranberry, or two 12-ounce cans. So I'm getting 24 ounces of liquid.
Straight to the bathroom.
It's real nice.
But how much money is
I have never bought a Bloody Mary mixer, no. I've never bought mixers. Although my sister buys Zing, it's not bad. Lucky, this was a non-alcoholic drink. These ones were not.
12-ounce business class perks, baby.
Now that I've moved back to my home country, these cooking streams are so much more accessible. Good. I'm glad.
It's like Australia or like somewhere completely opposite side of the world. Singapore, maybe. Oh, and where are you? Maria.
We should try the mezcal one. That's good.
Malaysia. I could never remember.
Cool. Is there a Moscow Mule recipe? No, there's not.
We do make them.
Yeah, do you need a Moscow Mule recipe? Norman, do you want me to come up with a Moscow Mule? You know what I want to make? Okay, you're going to like this. This is why this live should just be a chat. He should just be streaming and I should just be hanging out with y'all. Because honestly, this has nothing to do with any of what we've talked about. I have a book called Slow Drinks. Highly recommend it. It does have a recipe for ginger bug in it. And ginger bug is what you use to make ginger ale and ginger beer. So I could, in fact, do a Moscow Mule, but with homemade ginger bug, if you're interested in that. I have to take everything to the nth degree. At some point, it's going to be so expensive to buy this crap, like pre-made, that it's just going to be cheaper for you to make it at home. That's all I'm saying. You volunteer to test as tribute? If you want something that you can whip together to impress someone, I would say that the margarita, the Pineapple-Passionfruit Margarita is your go-to. It's really simple. You're not making anything, and it tastes like it tastes complex. I don't know how else to say that. It's light, it's tart, it's fruity. It's a margarita, right? But it's more, it tastes a little more complex than just a regular margarita. So you get a little bit of that added kind of like, oh, this is fancy. Plus, if you put it in a coupe glass, it makes it feel even better. Easy. And I will say this, so you'll notice, for the person who asked, because it's now scrolled up so much, Nightshade. You see the foam that's on the side here? There's a nice little layer of foam if you shake it well enough that sits on the top. So if you add your, say like 2, maybe 3 dashes of the Angostura bitters in, and then into your mix when you're shaking, you pour, you'll have a nice little layer here. If you do get it like an eyedropper or something, or like, yeah, I'd say an eyedropper, and you use that for the dashes, and you just kind of do like 3 little eye drops, you can take a toothpick. You can find this online if it's, because I know I'm not explaining it well enough, but if you do 3 dots on top of the foam with your Angostura bitters, I feel like I need to make another cocktail so I can show you how this works. And then you take a toothpick and run a toothpick right through those dots. It'll make 3 little hearts, and then it'll sit on top of the foam with like 3 hearts, and it'll be super cute. And then you don't need to work on a garnish to like add to the side of the glass. It's like in the foam. I don't know. Hopefully that's helpful. 2 thumbs up? Yeah. Something like that. I'm trying to think if I have. See, like I'm crazy because I do like food photography. So I have all the stuff already. So like, I'm like, yeah, just get a pipette or get a, whatever, and it'll be fine. Those are all my tongs. I'm pretty sure I have a pipette in here somewhere. Honestly, like even like the little plungers that you have for like kids' medicines, those work. I think my pipette's upstairs. Oh, no, it's right here. That was a lie. So like little pipettes, you just kind of and do like 3 drops and then take a toothpick and go through it. It's real pretty. I don't know. Poll results for what? Should I make? It's gonna say yes. Yes, but your second choice. Nice. That's funny. Okay, so am I making another one of those then? Okay, never mind. Okay. Then I guess you're saying, I'm sorry, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Epiphany, we're actually ending stream now. I'm so sorry. Hello, goodbye. Thank you for joining us. Aw, Pepe hands. We're so sad. Sorry. You can do a waving with a sad face instead of a smiley face? That's cool. Oh, okay. Can we get 1,000 gifted subs? Good try, Nerm. You're so welcome. You guys are very welcome. You're absolutely welcome for the stream. Hopefully, at least one of these cocktails piqued your interest. And it's something that you may or may not want to make at a future date. If you do make it, please tell me if you like it. If you have any concerns or thoughts. I don't have a lot of like options for testers for recipe testing. And so anytime somebody like comments or like, you know, like sends me a message or is like, hey, I tried it, you know, this instruction was a little weird, or you know, it turned out a little like this for me. Is there any way that you can help me with this? Like, please let me know, because I can always go back and update recipes on my website to make sure that if people have questions, like other people are going to have those same questions. And so I might not hit them when I'm doing testing, and it's really nice to hear from people, good or bad, or, you know, concerned, confused, any of that works. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me on today's cooking stream. It was really nice to have you guys. Hopefully you will enjoy these drinks at a future date as much as we enjoyed them today. I'll see you next time. Next month is salsa verde. We're doing a salsa verde. I will make it probably 2 ways, which does not include an oven, which is sad because my favorite way to make it is with the oven, but I don't have an oven down here. So we'll do it 2 different ways, and it'll be great. And you can enjoy that or make it and then have it for if you celebrate Cinco de Mayo, depending on where you are. It's a super Americanized holiday that people have no idea what it actually means, which is great. But we will be making the salsa verde. It'll be 2 days before Cinco de Mayo. So if you are planning on celebrating Cinco de Mayo, you will have yourself a nice little appetizer to have while you're drinking your margaritas and doing exactly Cinco de Drinko. Exactly, because America, because why not? So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.